Welcome and good afternoon. This is Commish Orr, and after a long time of play, we have finally reached the World Series and the best of the 1990s tournament. Yes, we have, and it was an interesting one to be sure. I'm going to give you a preview first, and then we're going to talk about how we got here. Here is the tournament bracket, as you can see. And on the National League side, it was actually pretty clear cut as the Atlanta Braves dispatched the 99 Diamondbacks. They swept the 94 Expos in their first meeting. The Expos actually beat the 98 Astros in the losers bracket in order to get a rematch with the Braves here. And Atlanta topped the Expos. The 98 Braves topped the Expos here 3-2 to advance to the World Series. In the American League, it was a little bit more, there's a little bit more drama as Oakland topped Cleveland 3-2 in the first round. They beat the top seeded 1998 Yankees 3-1. And then the Yankees topped Toronto, the 93 Blue Jays here 3-2 in the losers bracket to get a rematch with Oakland. In the best of 5 series rematch with Oakland, New York came out on top, winning Game 5. And then they won the next 2 games. So after this best of 5 series, each team had lost 1 series, and therefore they played a best of 7, all or nothing, to determine who would advance to the World Series. And the Yankees, as I said, took games 1 and 2, though those were not without their own drama, as I believe they went extra innings. Mariano Rivera blew both saves, I believe, but still the Yankees hung on to win the first 2 games. So they came into this last real week, with a 2-0 lead over Oakland in a best of 7 series. However, Oakland was not to be counted out. And so I play about 4 games each real life week. And so I played the next 4 games this week, and they were interesting to say the least. New York really wanted to take a 3-0 lead, and they were out on top in this one in Game 3, 2-1. This was David Cone against Dave Stewart. Stewart had just been amazing this series. David Cone also had been very, very good. And so the Yankees had a 2-1 lead heading into the bottom of the 6th when Oakland tied things up with Mark McGwire's RBI single after a couple walks to Willie McGee and Jose Canseco. So the game was tied at 2 through regulation. Both teams had scares. The first one came in the bottom of the 7th when Oakland put their first 2 runners on base with no outs. But the Yankees got out of that one when Willie Randolph flied out and Terry Steinbach grounded into a double play. A couple innings later in the 9th, Paul O'Neill and Bernie Williams had back-to-back base hits to lead off the 9th inning, knocking Dave Stewart out of the game. And Joe Klink came in to face the lefty stretch here in the Yankee lineup, struck out Tino Martinez. Tim Raines pinch hit for Darryl Strawberry and flew out, and then Chad Curtis struck out to end the threat in that inning. So all that is to say that it went into the 11th inning when Willie McGee led off with a double. Jeff Nelson came in and got 2 quick outs, and then Jamie Quirk, who was in place of an injured Dave Henderson, hit a grounder right up the middle, base hit that scored McGee and won it for Oakland. They walked it off in the 11th inning. So that was Game 3. Game 4. Once again, Oakland scored in the first inning against El Duque, Orlando Hernandez. Ricky Henderson walked, scored on a Willie McGee double, Willie McGee advanced to third on the throw to try to get Henderson at the plate on that one. Then Jose Canseco hit a sac fly to put Oakland up 2-0. Now the Yankees would come back and score a couple of runs, one in the fifth and one in the sixth, to try to take an advantage. Actually, one of those runs was taking advantage of an error by Carney Lansford. But they would take, Oakland would score in the bottom of the fifth to keep that 3-2 lead. And then Ricky Henderson hit a 2-run double in the eighth to give them some insurance runs. So Oakland takes this one 5-2 to even the series. Last game in Oakland, Game 5. Once again, Oakland scores first with a 2-run homer in the bottom of the first from Jose Canseco against Andy Pettitte. And that would be the only scoring in the game until the 7th inning. Mike Moore keeping the New York lineup in check, even though they had multiple chances to score. Multiple chances. 5 runners left in scoring position in this game by the Yankees. Finally, Jorge Posada hit a solo shot in the 7th inning to get the Yankees on the board, close the gap to 2-1. But Oakland got that run right back when Ricky Henderson tripled in Terry Steinbach. So Oakland goes on to win this one 3-1, taking a 3-2 series lead, sending the series back to New York. And Game 6 was much of the same, as Oakland gets out on top early against David Wells. Ricky Henderson led off this game with a home run. New York would score 2 in the bottom of the 6th off of Dave Stewart, pitching on short rest, on back-to-back doubles from Bernie Williams and Tino Martinez. But Oakland would come right back in the 7th. This time, Dave Henderson, solo home run to tie things up. And then in the 8th, Ricky Henderson again with another solo home run. David Wells allows 3 homers in this game, and he allowed a lot of home runs in the series. Even though he had some success, his ERA wasn't too bad. He allowed a lot of home runs. So 3 solo home runs here. So Oakland took a 3-2 lead, and the Yankees could not answer. Their biggest chance actually came here in the 7th, when it was tied at 2, when Chad Curtis singled. Posada grounded out into a fielder's choice, and Dave Stewart hit Scott Brocious with a pitch, and then walked Chuck Knobloch to load the bases up with only 1 out. Derek Jeter had a chance. He was 2 for 3 in this game. Had a chance to put the Yankees on top, but instead grounded into an inning double play. And that basically sealed the Yankees' fate, as the very next inning, Ricky Henderson would have had that home run to put Oakland on top. Dennis Eckersley came in, pitched a perfect 9th to pick up the save, and the New York Yankees get knocked out of the tournament. So Oakland wins 4-2. New York, once again, top seed in the entire tournament, but they cannot pull through, and they lose. We nearly had a matchup in the World Series between the 1998 Yankees and the 1998 Braves, but it was not meant to be. So the 1990 Oakland Athletics advance. They will face the Braves in a best-of-7 series to determine who is the best team of the 90s. I'm going to blow this up a little bit. We're going to take a look at some of the stats, give you a little preview of what's to come. Starting with the Oakland A's. First of all, let's just compare the teams here. Oakland was 12-8 so far in the tournament. A lot of close series. They have won 4 in a row, though. After dropping those 2 to the Yankees, they've won 4 in a row. They have a .263 team batting average, but a .339 team ERA, which is just crazy. Atlanta Braves, 9-4 in the tournament so far. They also have a 3-game winning streak going. A .259 batting average, so very close batting average. A .359 ERA, pretty close ERA as well. Let's take a look at some of the Oakland the lineup, position players, and pitching here. Ricky Henderson, by far, has been incredible. He's hitting 393 in the leadoff spot with a 457 on base and a 774 slug, and he has 7 home runs in the tournament. Walked almost as much as he struck out. 12 stolen bases, hasn't been caught yet. He has been a terror at the top of the lineup, and he gets things going. Bash Brothers, Jose Canseco's hitting 294 with 6 homers. And McGuire, only hitting 227, but has 8 home runs. And McGuire also nearly as many walks as strikeouts. Pretty good overall team. Dave Henderson had been injured for a few games there. Those were the games the Yankees actually won. Also hitting 321, or hitting over 300. He's hitting 321. So pretty solid lineup overall for Oakland. Again, team hitting 263. Pretty good. In terms of pitching, that's where the Oakland Athletics have really shined. You have Dave Stewart leading off the rotation. He's 4-1 with a 2.56 ERA in the tournament. You have Bob Welch, only a 4.75 ERA, but he has come in clutch a couple of those games when he really needed to. Mike Moore, 3.12 ERA, and then Scott Sanderson, a 2.37 ERA, 2-0. And then you have Dennis Eckersley, who his ERA doesn't look the greatest, 3.68. He's had a couple of closing spots where he has let up some stuff, but lately he has been lights out pretty much, as you could see here. So he had a couple of rough games there, but he's had a good span here the last couple of games to close things out for Oakland. So a lot to like here. Now, Oakland relievers have kind of dropped the ball a couple of times. You can see here a couple of the relievers, Rick Honeycutt especially, has had a rough go of it. Joe Clink, only a couple innings, but he's had a couple of rough appearances. Gene Nelson's another one that has a lot of relief innings to his name, over 9 innings so far. He's been pitching pretty well. But if they can, their starters have kept them in these games. And in fact, in the New York series, New York in those last 4 games didn't score more than 2 runs. So they were held to 2 or fewer runs in each of those last 4 games. Oakland actually scored first in every one of the 6 games in this last series with New York. And 5 of those 6 games they scored in the first inning. So they seem to be what seems to be their real strength is getting out in front, putting pressure on the other team, and then their pitching just keeps them in it. So that's Oakland for you, the 1990 Oakland Athletics. In fact, if we go over to, let's just take a look at Baseball Reference that year. 1990 Oakland Athletics actually lost the World Series to the Reds that year. They got swept. But they were 103-59, first in the AL West, and just a lot of solid players. All right, let's take a look at the Braves. 1998 Braves. And I think what you're going to see is pitching is what dominates. That being said, let's not forget that they have some decent hitters too. Currently in the tournament, Ryan Klesko is hitting 480, 12 for 25. Now he's not an everyday starter. He's a platoon guy in this lineup at least. Danny Bautista, 375. Again, they a little bit of a platoon going there. Interestingly enough, Walt Weiss playing for both teams. He's hit 292. And then the averages kind of drop off, but you have some power. Javi Lopez, 5 homers, only hitting 269. And we have to wonder when some of these guys are going to heat up. So Chipper Jones only hitting 240, has a lot more potential than that. Galarraga only hitting 261. Again, a lot more potential than that. So that's kind of where the standouts are here in the lineup. But really, where the team shines is their pitching staff, led by Greg Maddux. Maddux is 3-1 in the tournament with a 1.15 ERA. And let's look at his starts. 9 innings pitched, 1 earned run. 9 innings shutout. He had 1 rough start that he actually came out of that game from an injury, 4 1/3. And then he comes right back and shuts out Montreal. So 2 of his 4 starts, he has shutouts. 3 of the 4 starts, he's only allowed 1 run. Very dominating. Very dominating. Then you have Smoltz, who has a 3.13 ERA, 2-0 in the tournament. Glavine hasn't had as much success. 6.17 ERA. Same with Denny Nagel, 6.14 ERA. So they've had a couple of these guys have been roughed up a little bit. Now it'd be interesting to see because Kevin Millwood is another potential starter in there, and he's actually pitched pretty well with a 1.17 ERA. Then of course you have the relievers. Kerry Lightenberg has been pretty good. He did have a couple of rough outings there, 4.76 ERA, but he has 4 saves. John Rocker has a couple of spotless appearances. So you have a lot of decent relievers here to go around in the Braves bullpen. But really, this rotation, Maddux, Smoltz, and Glavine especially, are historically one to fear. It'll be interesting to see if they can translate that. They have not lost a series. So it'll be interesting to see if they can translate that to the World Series here in the best of the 90s. If we look briefly at fielding, once again, Braves shine with a 988 fielding percentage, which leads, I believe, all teams. Oh, not quite. I guess Toronto and Chicago, in much fewer games, have a little bit higher fielding percentage. Oakland has a little bit worse, but not much worse. So very interesting to see. Really looking forward to this World Series. Once again, let's take a look at the 1998 Braves. See how they compare. Oakland 103-59 in 1998. Atlanta 106-56 in Oakland was in 1990. Atlanta 106-56 in 98. They lost the NL Championship Series. They did not go to the World Series that year. San Diego did. And then San Diego, I believe, was swept by the 98 Yankees in the World Series. So this is going to be an interesting test, as neither of these teams went to the World Series, I believe. Or no, Oakland did, but they got swept in the World Series against the Reds. So neither of these teams were able to seal the deal in the World Series in real life, but they have another shot at it here in the best of the 90s tournament. Now, as always, I'm going to shrink this back down. If you head over to baseballmaelstrom.com, you can follow all of the action. I do little write-ups on each game. You can click on the 1990s tournament page to get to the all of the games from this tournament. My prior tournament was the best of the 30s. So this is the second best of the decades tournament we've completed. I'm not sure yet which decade will be next. So if you want to leave that down in the comments, if you watch the video, you've been following these tournaments, leave it down in the comments what decade I should do next. My eventual goal, and this is a lofty one, is to do 10 different decades, and each of the winners will enter a best of all time tournament to see who can come out on top. So whoever wins the best of the 90s will get a spot in that tournament. But leave down below in the comments what decade you would like to see next. And that's where we will leave things today. Just a quick preview of the World Series, upcoming World Series in the Best of the 90s tournament, featuring the 1990 Oakland Athletics and the 1998 Atlanta Braves. So be watching for that. I may do at least a couple of those games. I'll do a... you can watch those be played. So be watching for that. Hopefully you've enjoyed this tournament. I do have another project, my Payoff Pitch League, my Pops League. That's in Season 2. That's a Hall of Fame league. So be sure to check that out as well. With all that said, I appreciate you watching. Thank you so much for all the support. And until next time, have a great evening.